Hey, boys and girls. I'm here to do Logic of English Lesson 10. And let me tell you, I just came from the nurse. You're probably wondering why I'm looking like this. Well, I got in a fight. Oh, yeah, you won't even believe it. It was a fight with a hamster. No, don't even laugh. This hamster was vicious. It was like, ooh, and there was hair, and look at me. This is crazy. Anyway, the nurse said I need to calm down, take some breaths, and come do this lesson. So that's what I'm here for. Okay, but actually this is perfect because the phonograms we're supposed to learn for this lesson sort of sound like the sounds we make when we get hurt. So we're going to call these the hurting phonograms. So I want you to look at these two phonograms for this week. What do you notice about them that's the same? And what do you notice about them that's different? You should notice they both have an O, right? They're both two letters. What's different? One has a W, one has a U. So already you should be thinking in your mind of this English rule that we have learned to help us to know which one is going to go at the end of words or may go at the end of words and which one may not. So let's go over these. I actually have them in a different order. Technically, I would usually put this one first because this one cannot be at the end of English words, right? And this one can be. But I want to put them in the order of how many sounds they have. And then we're going to add this monster phonogram as well. So let's look at this first one. This one makes two sounds. Okay, you ready? And you listen for those hurting sounds. You ready? Say ow, oh. Doesn't that sound like I'm hurting? Yeah. I tell you what, that hamster, oh, sorry. I get ahead of myself. Anyway, think about those sounds when you see the OW. Think, ow, oh, and imagine Mr. Slade on the floor with that hamster crawling all over him, biting him, scratching him. Yeah, and then you think, ow, oh, okay? So when I see OW, I think ow and oh, and it may be used at the end of an English word. Now there's this one, okay? The cool thing about these two is this makes the same first two sounds, ow, oh. But guess what? It makes two more. So we've got ow, oh, say ooh, and Can you say that? Ow, oh, ooh, Ow, oh, ooh, Does that make sense? Now, I'll tell you how I know this one. And you're going to laugh, and I know. And it won't hurt my feelings because I'm okay with that. This one, the only way I remember this phonogram is by singing Twinkle, Twinkle. No, I know. Everyone laugh. But you know what? We all know Twinkle, Twinkle, right? We all know the tune. So I don't know about you, but when I have a song that I have in my head, I can't get it out. And so for this one, I learned these sounds using Twinkle, Twinkle. So you ready? You have to remember, I am so much older than you, and I need everything I can to remember some of these sounds. So this is how I remember OU. You ready? Ow, oh, ooh, that's the sound OU makes in an English word. Now I know you're probably cracking up hysterically right now, and you're thinking, I am never doing that, ever. But just to let you know, if you think of it in your head, no one will know that you're singing Twinkle, Twinkle. They'll just think you're bobbing your head back and forth. So it's four sounds. Ow, oh, ooh, Does that make sense? Ow, oh, ooh, that's the sound OU makes in an English word. Now, the difference between these two is what? Think about our rule. This one may not be used at the end of an English word. And they both have the same two first sounds, ow, oh, which are the most common. So you're most often going to see these making an ow or an o sound. Thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay, now it is time for the mother of all phonograms. I mean, this is huge. Look at it. It's enormous. Have we ever seen a four-letter phonogram before? Yes, last lesson, right? A-U-G-H, remember it goes together? But that only goes aw, af. That's only 2 sounds. That's like a piece of cake. That's nothing like that silly hamster that, okay, sorry. I keep getting ahead of myself. Ugh. Anyway, what do you notice about this compared to these two? How is it the same? Yeah, it has an O at the front, doesn't it? Do you notice that GH? Remember, we learned a rule last week that if a word ends in GH, it'll either be by itself or before a T, and it's either going to have a it's not going to make any sound, or it's going to make a, okay, like laugh or laughter, like you learned in last week's lesson. So let's look at the sounds that OUGH makes. It makes 6 sounds. Man, that makes all my wounds hurt just thinking about it. Anyway, here's what I want you to think about. In our Logic of English student books, they put the sounds in a little bit different of order. But when I look up this OUGH in all sorts of different places, I like the order that it's in on this poster because it puts it in pairs. Remember, pairs are 2, right? I have 2 pairs of eyes. I have 2 pairs of ears. And I have lots and lots of Band-Aids, right? So I probably have a pair there somewhere, right? Anyway, so I want us to memorize these in pairs because that will help us to remember. And I want you to look. You see how on this poster there's one skiing? And look, they're falling at the end, right? Now, a lot of us have probably never been skiing, but a lot of us have probably fallen before, like fallen and rolled and fallen over and over again, like I did with that fight, okay? So here's how I want you to think of it. Watch me as I do the sounds, okay? So you're going to think, oh, ooh, say it, oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow, aw, ow. Again, I need something else, not twinkle, twinkle, but I need something else to help me remember those sounds because those are enormous and there's too many. So I need sort of a rhythm. So for those of us that have a lot of rhythm, this is perfect for us. Okay, so you ready? You're going to do what I do to help me remember these phonogram sounds. This is how I remember it. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. Join me. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. Ooh, man, still hurting. Okay, can you hear those hurting sounds in there though? Can you imagine someone falling down the stairs or falling down skiing and being like, oh, ooh, uff, off, ow. Can you imagine? That's exactly what I think of when I hear these sounds. Now, this is going to be hard. I promise you this is going to be hard, but here's what you're going to do. For the rest of the week, if you see me in the hallway and you were able to do these 6 sounds, then I want you to come up to me and actually do the sounds for me. And I have a sticker that says, I conquered OUGH. Conquered means like get ahead of or control or beat, okay? This is tricky. But if you can remember, oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow, then you will be able to figure that out and conquer it. Understand? Thumbs up. All right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to have someone in your class come up or your teacher. You're going to take all the phonograms we've done so far this year. This is 10 lessons worth, which doesn't mean just 10 phonograms. That's like 15, 20 phonograms. That's tons of phonograms. You're going to go through them. If you even want to go through the regular phonograms with the alphabet A to Z and really practice, you can do that. So take about 2 or 3 minutes to do that. I'm going to peel off these Band-Aids to see if I'm actually healed. And then we're going to come back. And we're going to use our whiteboards and we're going to write some words. Okay, so pause the video and go. All right, I am back and miraculously I am completely healed. It is just amazing what our nurses can do here at Pleasant Hill, isn't it? I rushed over there, they put stuff on me. I'm doing great. Okay, this is what I want you to do. We are going to explore some sounds. So I'm going to give you a word. You know the word is going to have one of these phonograms. We're kind of going to stick away from this one for right now and just focus on these 2. And so I'm going to rearrange them so you can see that this is the phonogram that we cannot use. We may not use at the end of an English word, and this one we May. Okay, are you ready? Let's go over the phonogram sounds for just a minute. So I'm going to think ow, oh, ooh, say it or say it. Oh, that sounds really nice. Now this one, say ow, oh. Nice. Okay, let's take our first word. Go ahead and get out your whiteboard or a piece of paper and a pencil. I'm going to say a word. I want you to see if you can say the word first and then think. Do not just write it, even if you know it and you're like, Mr. Sides, I already know this word. Don't do that yet. Why am I going to write this or this phonogram? Okay, so everyone go ahead and say the word snow. Man, we have not had much snow during this winter, have we? Snow. What do you hear at the end of snow? You hear an O, don't you? So now I'm going to think. Both of these make an O sound, but only one of these can go at the end of an English word, snow. So go ahead and write snow on your whiteboard. I'm going to give you like 10 seconds. And then I'm going to write it up here. Snow. Okay, which one am I going to use? I'm going to use this one. Snow. Snow. Now, how do I mark that word to show what goes together? I'm going to put a line underneath my OW because it's making its second sound, isn't it? Now, because it's making its second sound, let's go ahead and put a little tiny 2 over it to remind us that it's not going ow. I don't say snow. Wow, I see the snow coming down from the sky. I don't say that, do I? Snow. Now, I should have put it here, right? Because the rule tells me English words cannot end in U. Next word, are you ready? I say it, then you repeat. Do you understand? Say the word soul. Okay, now think about what you hear in the middle of soul. What do you hear? You should hear a long O sound, shouldn't you? Soul. So think about both of these phonograms. Do they both make an O sound? Yes, they do. Ow, oh, ooh, Which one am I most likely going to use in this word? This one, okay? Not that this one can't be at the beginning or in the middle of a word, but this one is probably your more often. So this kind of sole is not the sole of my shoe, like the bottom of my shoe. This is like my inside, my feelings. You hurt my very soul. Like that hamster before, okay? So go ahead and write the word soul, S-O-O, and then mark it. Okay, you should have written S-O-O, soul. What is my marking? Yeah, I'm going to underline it. And then which sound is this? Ow, oh, ooh, It's the second sound, so I'm going to put a little 2 over the top, aren't I? To remember that it's not going soul, it's going soul. Let's do our next one. You ready? Say howl. Like a wolf will howl at the moon. Howl. Think about what sound I hear in the middle of that word, howl. You should hear ow, right? Now, again, think about which one I most likely use in that word. Howl. Go ahead and try it before I write it. If you put it in the wrong column and you look at it and you think, that doesn't look right, try the other one and see if that one looks right. All right. I'm actually going to put it here. Watch. Ow, oh, howl. Now, everyone's always like, oh, wait, that's just obeying the rules, Mr. Slates. The rule says it's not supposed to ever be anywhere but at the end. But is that what the rule actually said? No. It said it may be at the end of an English word. Now, it's not as common, but it doesn't say it's never in the middle or beginning. So what am I going to do for marking this one? Do I need to put a number over it, or is it making its first sound? Howl. It's making its first sound. Let's do 2 more. You ready? Say the word you. Like you are at Pleasant Hill Elementary School. You. What do you hear at the end of the word you? You hear an oo sound. Now think. Think for a minute. Only one of these phonograms makes an oo sound. Go ahead and write it And I know all of you are like, oh my gosh, it's breaking the rules. What are we doing? I can't do this. It's totally breaking the rules. Do it. I'm telling you to break the rules and write this word. You. You ready? You should have put it over here. Ready? Yeah. Ooh. You. Now, what am I going to do to mark it? Underline. Which sound does it make? Ow, oh, ooh. Third sound. So I put a little 3 over it. Now, we need to talk about this. Mr. Slates, it's breaking rules. You said English words never end in IUVJ. Maybe you were lying to us. That's not true. I would never lie to you. But in this case, this is called an exception. So I want to teach you something. Are you ready? Because this word is also an exception. Can anyone think how this is breaking our English rule that we've learned about words do not end in IUVJ? How is this breaking the rule? Well, it's the beginning of the word, but it's also the end of the word at the same time. So it kind of is, isn't it? It's not supposed to be. So here is the exception phrase I want to teach you. I and you are special. Can you say that? I and you are special. Isn't that nice? Makes us all feel special, except for that hamster, right? I and you are special. They are exceptions to our rule, which means they came from another language a while ago, but we're not just going to totally drop you and I and change their spelling just because they don't fit the rule, because we've brought them in from a totally different language. Does that make sense? Make sense? All right. There's one more we're going to do. Okay. And I'm just going to give you a hint right now. We're going to do it with this phonogram, which is our biggest phonogram. Say the word bought. Like, I bought a hamster, and then I took it back to that pet store. Bought. What sound do you hear in the middle of bought? Bought. You hear an aw sound, right? Aw. Okay, so think of this sound, this phonogram, and go ahead and write it. Aw, and then t. You should have written aw. Bought. What sound is that making? It's making an aw sound. Now, the GH is completely silent, right? I don't say boffed. It's completely silent. What do I do to mark it? I mark it like this. Now, for now, you know, we could write a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6 over the top of that OUGH. But here's the deal. Since I taught you kind of a different order of the sounds than what they have in the Logic of the English book, I don't want it to be too confusing. So we're just going to leave that as it is. We're not going to put a little number over the top because our number would be slightly different than the Logic of English number. Does that make sense? All right, so here's what I want you to do. As you're writing and as you're spelling words, don't just write. Every time you hear a word and you're supposed to spell it, or you think of a word in your mind and you're supposed to spell it, think first. These rules are here to help you. So if you know it's making an oo sound, ow, oh, oo, or an it's not going to be this one. And if you know you hear that ow or o sound at the end of a word, it's not going to be that one. You guys are smart. You should know and be learning these sounds to help you. Okay? Now, a couple of things about your student notebook today. There is tons to do in your student notebook for lesson 10 before we get to the spelling tomorrow. So let me show you what's in there. See this on page 161? It's all sorts of words divided into the way the Logic of English has divided up these sounds. But you should be able to read them too, because if you look at the top, they give you a symbol. Over this one, it's the ah, the short ah sound. Over this one, it's the line, which is the o. Over this one, it's our broad sound, ooh. And then here they're giving you hints, ow, uff, and off. But I don't know about you, I like our order. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow. It kind of goes together. So you can just read these words if you'd like. Check out all these sentences. These are actually so cool because they show you OWs and OUs in the same sentence, but they're making different sounds. If you have time, what you can do is read the sentences, and then what you're supposed to do is tally every time the OW is making the ow sound versus every time you're making the O sound. The same is true for your OU. You're supposed to read each sentence and go back and do a tally every time you hear the ow, every time you hear the O, every time you hear the oo, and every time you hear the sound. Does that make sense? And then the OUGH, kind of crazy, okay, because there's 6 sounds. So if you have time and you want to tally, you can. This is something that I would do together. Let me tell you what they're trying to teach you, just in case you can't get to this activity. You're going to notice most of the time they're making their first sound. It's the most common, the ow sound. And what that's supposed to remind you is every time you see words with this, try your first sound first, ow. Then try O, and then keep going. Check it out. There is a game. Woohoo! Don't we all love games? This game helps you to review those phonograms that we've been learning since the beginning of the year and look at all of them. Okay, just a reminder, if I see you in the hall coming up this week or even next week, and you can quickly say to me, oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow, I will give you a high five, I will give you a sticker, and it says, I have conquered the OUGH. Okay, boys and girls, that's all I have for you today. Keep memorizing those phonograms, keep looking at those rules, keep trying to spell words correctly, keep reading and reading a lot, and beware of hamsters. Bye.